Using an accountant to pay your taxes is still the tried, tested, and true way to do your taxes. If you're an artist or contractor in Canada and you're looking for an accountant, check out the description for my personal recommendations. Once you find an accountant that's right for you, you'll set up an appointment and give them your relevant personal data. Once they have access to your CRA portal, they can find the info they need to create a tax profile for you. They might ask you to email copies of your tax receipts and T-slips as well, just so they can make sure that the T-slips that you have and the T-slips on your portal line up. Once the quick preliminaries are done, they'll ask you for your income and expenses, and all of that can be found here on this tab. You have some fast links here for hopping around the page, but it's not an extensive page. It's designed to consolidate all the information you'll need to do your taxes into a very small space. Any text in blue or blue dot will link back to the main sheet for an in-depth look at that item. And just a quick reminder, if you ever run into this error, hit cancel so you don't damage the formulas on the page. We've got employed income here, but your accountant should have all of that information from the T4s that you sent them. Then you'll move on to the main event, self-employed info. You'll start by telling them your gross self-employed income, which is all the money you were paid from your self-employed business. Next is the self-employed business income for which you received a T4A. If you got T4As from employers or clients and you've entered info from your T-slips here, you should see a number here. But your accountant should already have that info from the T-slips you sent them. Next is all the rest of your self-employed income for which you didn't receive a T4A. Then they'll want to know how much you paid in GST or HST. Next, they'll want to know about subcontractors. If you used any hired help for one-off jobs, you can get that number here. Moving on, they'll probably want to know if your business has any inventory. Are you a craftsperson that has to stock up on materials to make or create things to sell? If not, your answer is probably going to be no. If you did have inventory or COGS, you'll want to give them these numbers: opening inventory, inventory purchased during the year, inventory used, and your closing inventory, which then becomes your opening inventory for next year. The next thing they'll ask for is this list of the totals for these expenses. Now, keep in mind that if you have checked yes here, that you do have a sales tax number, all of these expense totals will be the subtotals, the total amount you spent in these expense categories minus the sales tax, which is what your accountant will want. If you don't have a sales tax number, all of these will be the total expense amounts with sales tax included. Either way, you'll go down this list telling your accountant the total for each category. For meals and entertainment, you can tell them the full amount from here and confirm that you've calculated 50% to be this amount here. Then you will give them the rest of the amounts all the way down to vehicle expenses. Once you get to vehicle expenses, you'll want to click this fast link or just scroll right to see the vehicle breakdown here. If you've been keeping track of your mileage, your business drives, and vehicle expenses, all of your vehicle expense summaries should be summed up here. Your accountant will ask for these: your total kilometers driven and the total driven for business. They might also ask what percentage that breaks down to. Next, they'll ask you for these totals. Now, if you've purchased a vehicle this year, that will also appear here as a vehicle CCA, and you can give your accountant this information as well. They'll probably just want to know the total cost, which is here, and from this information, they'll be able to do the rest. Now we come back to self-employment income, and we want to do the CCAs, or fixed assets. All of the total information is here for each CCA, including the vehicle again, but you've already given them the vehicle info, so don't worry about that. If they want an itemized version, you can always go to the fixed asset section and give them the itemized account for all the fixed assets categories. But if not, you can just give them the totals. They'll want to know the total costs for each category, if you had any credits left over from last year for each category, and if any of the stuff purchased this year was also used for personal use. Like, for example, if I bought a laptop and computer hardware in class 50 this year, but I only use it for business 70% of the time, I would scroll down to where it says personal use rate and then say, I use this stuff for personal use about 30% of the time. But whether or not you want to allocate a personal use percentage is up to you. One last note about CCAs. At the end of the year, when you're making the next year's spreadsheet, You want to copy the UCC end from this year to the UCC start of next year. Remember, these big ticket items depreciate over time. So we write off the cost over multiple years. This is us carrying forward the amounts from this year to the following year. Then we go back to self-employment income. Next, they'll want to ask for your other expenses. Now, most likely they'll only want the total, but if they ask what your other expenses entail, then you can list everything here that you put money into. And remember, you can always click on anything blue if you want to take a deeper look into any of the categories. Next, we're doing business use of home. If you've been keeping track of all your home expenses and have already input these 4 estimates, all the summaries will be here. You'll tell your accountant you're estimating your home size by rooms. Tell them the total rooms in your home, the rooms used for business, and then this, the percentage of time per week you spend working at home. Then they'll want all these totals, everything you spent on your home. And again, if you want to take a deeper look at any of these categories, just use the business use of home fast link, and then you can look at any category that you want. Let's go back. If you've gone to conventions this year, you can give your accountant that information from here. Remember, you can write off 2 conventions per business year. You can also let your accountant know if you've contributed to a self-employed health and dental plan this year. They'll also want this information here. Did you donate to charity? Do you have any medical expenses? Did you put any money into a first home savings account or an RRSP? Are you registered to pay into EI as a self-employed person? Did you pay interest on student loans this year? If you're in school, they'll want to know this information. If you live with a disability and you've registered it with the government, make sure at the top of your full spreadsheet you clicked yes here and tell your accountant you registered. Lastly, let your accountant know if you want to register for the Canada Workers Benefit unless it's not applicable. All right, we're almost done. You shouldn't have to worry about T3 and T5 income because if you have that income, your accountant should already have a copy of your T-slips. And then we come to tips and other employed income. If you work a side job and get tips or have any of this other income and you've put it into your spreadsheet because you want to report it, it'll end up here. Now for a basic tax return, that's pretty much it for the income tax portion. If you have a sales tax number, the last little bit of information they'll need is your sales tax info. Depending on your province, you'll see different information here, but basically the information they'll need is your total self-employed earnings, sales tax collected, sales tax that you prepaid throughout the year if you had to do that, and sales tax you spent when paying for expenses. That should give them the same total that you have for sales tax to the CRA. If you've been putting money aside from each paycheck and putting it into a sales tax savings account, you should be able to see the total amount you saved here. But your accountant won't need that info, that's just for you. Once your accountant has filed your taxes, you'll get an email saying that you have CRA mail. And if you log into your CRA portal, you'll see that you've been sent a notice of assessment. Basically, a receipt for filing your taxes. Your accountant should also be emailing you a copy of your tax return. Be sure to save it in a folder with all your other tax returns for every year for safekeeping. If you owe money in taxes, your accountant will be able to walk you through how to actually pay the taxes you owe the CRA. If you want, you can share your spreadsheet with your accountant by clicking up here in the sheet. Share, general access, anyone with the link can be a viewer. Copy the link and email it to your accountant. You can also send them this video explaining how to navigate your sheet, but more often than not, they'll just want you to read the info to them. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll see you next time.